What's going on, guys? It's your boy White Shadow back at it again with another video, and today we have a massive update with everything that's been going on in the channel. I know that I haven't actually made any kind of content in a while, and there's a reason for that. Of course, there's always been things going on in my life even before this entire hiatus was going on the channel, on all the channels I should say. And I feel like it's time that I finally address what actually has been going on recently, because a lot has actually happened. Now, in case you guys didn't notice, had just come back from another hiatus from just personal issues and having some time to unwind. And it started in the summer, and I was making content up until the end of the summer, beginning of the fall last year, and ever since then I stopped making videos on my gaming channel, and I slowly started making less and less content on my gaming channels. The reason for this was twofold. The first was the start of my sophomore year of high school, being enlisted in the IB program. Academically, it does take a lot of time that was taken away from being able to actually focus on making content for any of my channels. I actually had to stop because there just wasn't enough time. One of the big things that was taking up the most time was me being involved with the Overwatch Scrim game series, which you guys know that it was a long dream of mine to actually make the Overwatch Scrim game series. I made it possible. The issue with that, and there's a whole other plethora of issues that came with that. One of them was that it took away the time that I was making content on any of my other channels. But with the season of the Overwatch Scrim game series ending, and with just me having a moment where I had to reassess my strategy of how I did content on all my channels, I finally feel like it's about time we start getting back to business, and that is what this is today. I've made this kind of an event. I've always wanted to do this with my channel reviews, and since I have recently gotten a lot of projects in the making that I want to do, and I've upped my production quality again, I feel like now is finally the right time to see just what exactly it is that I've been cooking in the time that I've been away, and that's what this event is for. Now, I know a lot of people get very anxious and don't like it when they see roadmaps, but I do have a series of roadmaps focusing on every channel that I have. Some are overviews, some are roadmaps, simply because some of my channels don't require roadmaps. It's just making content as we go. But some just for organizational purposes I have made roadmaps for, and we're actually going to start with one regarding the entire brand of White Shadow. The focus of this entire thing, this return to content, is that in my assessment of what I used to do with how I made content and how I'm going to make it now, there were a lot of things that could have gone differently. I feel like most of it was trying to just not giving myself the appropriate amount of time to properly work on the project, and feeling the need to rush something out because of a certain time frame. Another thing was just the way that my content works, especially on my gaming channel when we get there, is that I was trying to do a lot more when I was trying to do too much that I couldn't do. So I don't want that to sound like a bad thing, because that sounds like we're going to be scaling down, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm finding a style, a pattern that really fits my work style and my time. So that's the biggest thing here. So obviously when we look at this, we have all the channels. Nothing is going to change in terms of what the content is there. Actually, we're adding more content, but it's just the way that it's being rolled out is being different, just so that it fits my life as a person. Of course, we have gaming side, we have life, our vlogs and everything. We have entertainment, we have music and reviews, which just started that I didn't have a chance to continue. And of course, one of the things that I want to highlight with this return to content is that a lot of the upcoming projects that I have are cross-channel, which means that you'll see a lot of collaboration within these channels. Something like maybe a project in entertainment, and it'll require like a soundtrack. And so you'll see things on entertainment and music. Or for example, if I'm playing a game on White Shadow and I feel the need to review it, that will appear on reviews. And stuff like that. Just collaboration within the different channels. You'll see that in the individual roadmaps as well. There's really going to be a focus on creating content that flows within the brand, not just existing on one simple thing. That way it feels like the brand is more connected with itself, and that way you can maximize the most content out of one single topic. And that is definitely something that I feel very, very proud of. So speaking of roadmaps, I feel like it's time we start with the one that everyone has always been wanted to continue, and that's of course White Shadow, Dalmation. Now, if you guys remember, we left White Shadow during Phase 3. It was a whole new set of new games. We were trying to stick to a weekly schedule where we assigned one day of the week for a different game series. Now, that worked for a little bit because I had the time, but once I stopped the time, and once the drive also was no longer there, it was clear that I wanted to fall back on going the way that I used to do things, with one game being the center focus at a time. And so that's exactly what's going to happen. We will eventually return to a more single game focused kind of schedule, where we just focus on one game at a time without having to go across it. It was also easier on the viewers, I feel like, trying to, like, if you got recommended one of the videos and you wanted more of it, and all of a sudden you get something that's not that, it makes sense to focus just on one game, because it allows the viewer to, in case they want more, in case they want to stick around, it makes it so that they are now allowed to view more of that content. And that way, if they like what they see, they're willing to stay more than if it was a series-focused schedule. So that's what we're going to do. Of course, that does mean that Phase 3 is still in effect. We're just resuming where we left off. Now that the schedule has been changed, I did have to go and choose which series I wanted to continue. And so you're going to see this on the roadmap in the order. We're going to finish Halo 3 first. You run the Master Chief Collection with Halo 3. The reason why is because I went in and actually finished recording it. They're already ready, they're already uploaded as this video is releasing, so it's just, that was the first one. We're starting with Halo 3. Next is Sonic Mania. We left off with the big Mania mode run for Ray. That was the last of the characters that we needed. And one of the things that I should probably go ahead and mention is that Encore mode is going to have to wait. I did want to continue Encore mode after Mania mode. It was clear that once this drought started, that I still haven't actually beat Encore mode. I'm halfway through it, I put it down and I never picked it back up. And I need to do that before I do anything. So Encore mode is going to have to wait. But the Ray run is coming up, so after Halo 3. And after that, we'll put Sonic Mania on hold until we can proceed with the next Sonic game in the future. Then after Sonic Mania, we have Mighty Switch Force 2. Mighty Switch Force 2, we left in an awkward spot. We were, I think, on the 17th is where we're going to pick up the 17th incident. And with Mighty Switch Force comes the fact that I need to beat the rest of the incidents plus the extra incidents. So it shouldn't take that much time. It's just that in terms of the schedule, it's the one that I actually need to go in as well and also beat and then later record. Not much to say there. It's just the way where we left off. And after Mighty Switch Force 2 is, of course, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Now, I did start a series of arcade mode runs, where I played in as 2 characters of my choice. I do want to do a whole lot more combinations. I started first with the Ruby characters because those are primarily my mains that I play in that game, but there are many more combinations of characters, and I feel like in order to allow myself to really have a coherent way of starting those, also the fact that those are probably the most time consuming overall, because an arcade run lasts a decent amount of time, in spite of the fact that at least the cross-tag battle matches are actually quite short. But in order to create a whole series of a lot of combinations across all the different series that are in there, I felt the need to have that one last. And of course, Overwatch videos are always going to stay, as you can see. It's just that it'll be a background type of series, where Overwatch was always something that was occasional on the channel, and that's going to stay. I tried to do series-focused Overwatch, but the thing about that is that it's one of those where, since I usually play with my friends, and sometimes just shenanigans with myself, I feel like it'd be better to just make it a background kind of series. Something, maybe in between games we can have an occasional Overwatch video, and just in general occasionally. Especially when the PvE eventually comes out, whenever that is. That will put Overwatch on the forefront as a series, but in the meantime, it will be in the background. Now, one thing you'll notice is the perks beta. Now, what I refer to by perks is channel perks. As you guys know, I am monetized on the White Shadow channel, and for the longest time I didn't actually know what I would do for memberships, but now I think I finally do. And the beta is going to be me first implementing the system. I've got plenty of things that I want to do. One of those things, of course, is the ability to give back to the viewers in spite of everything that I had to make you guys go through. But I want to give back to you guys for sticking around and supporting me throughout everything that I've gone through with that channel. So the perks beta, I'm going to actually announce those at a later date. I don't feel like, because I'm still planning some things, I'm not completely done with it, but eventually, once I fully reveal those, you guys will know. And the beta refers to just their first implementation, because of course nothing is perfect, especially when launching something like memberships. So I just need the time to figure out what exactly it is that I'm going to do with channel memberships. And then once we have caught up with all the games in Phase 3, we can move on to Phase 4, which, one thing that I do want to say is that what we consider a phase on this channel is eventually going to change. Now, the reason why phases were started in the first place was because the way that the channel moved to a series-focused, like multi-series focused schedule, we needed phases in order to introduce new games. But now that we've gone back to single game series, the phases are now going to mean something different, and that is going to be that a phase now just means a new year. And I'm going to, since technically Phase 3 was supposed to be done last year, and this Phase 4 was supposed to be picking up where we left off in that time, we're just going to make it so that Phase 3 and Phase 4 are this year. So Phase 4 is going to be from, as you can see, from summer, that's when it starts, but from summer to the end of the year is going to be Phase 4, and then once we meet up for this year's channel review, I will then introduce Phase 5, which is going to be 2024's games. And as you can see in the time frame on the roadmap, I've actually put Phase 3 as spring. Because I feel like in case something comes up in that time, because IB is always something that's unexpected, school's unexpected, life is very unexpected. So I'm giving myself that little bit of leeway time in order to just give you guys a heads up and give me that heads up. Apart from that, you can see the games, new games, of course, always new games, and we'll actually talk about those games in a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to point out, of course, you see the new perks, and that is referring to any perks that I feel like I need to add or change in the channel memberships. I'll do that in phase 4. There's obviously going to be more constant updates. With channel memberships comes the ability to create members only content, and that's what that means, along with the members only content, the exclusive content. One of the things, well, it's an early leak for you guys, I guess, is one of the channel perks is, of course, the ability to view content in exclusivity only for channel members, and that will include behind the scenes footage, exclusive videos to certain things if I feel the need to, just those little extra things for the members. And with that comes also the constant updates, and not just for members but for everyone in general. I really do lack in that department, simply because I don't want you guys to worry about me. I don't like people worrying about me because, you know, it's me. I have my own reasons. Now the problem with that is, of course, that you guys deserve to know what exactly is going on, so I will start trying to actually inform you guys about what it is that's happening with me whenever I'm not making content. I want you guys to know that yes, I'm good, I'm okay, and hopefully that means I shouldn't have to make any more of these big update videos. And of course, other than that, we're going to just expand. We're going to come back better than ever, hopefully, and that starts, you'll see a pattern, is that in the spring we're just finishing up what we already had in the summer is when we're really getting started. So really think of spring as the beta period in a way. But like I said, this new phase 4 of games is going to bring a whole lot more games, and most of them are just continuing the baseline series that we had. Like for example, I had Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Halo, Sonic. The series themselves, I am going down the list of games that I have and that I own and that I will eventually own. So let's actually move on to those games. In terms of the games for phase 4, take this as an approximation. I have 9 games that I will go ahead and confirm. Now what this means, the order that I say these games is not going to be the exact order, so some may change depending on what happens, what does and does not end up happening, and also that does not mean that there will only be 9 games. Remember that summer to the end of the year is multiple months, so depending on not how long each series takes to finish, some games may bleed into 2024, or I may actually finish all these games and I have to bring in some new games. But I do want to stick to 9, so that you guys know that these 9 are on the way. And we're going to be starting off phase 4 with Mortal Kombat X. Following up Mortal Kombat 11 is going to be Mortal Kombat X. This was natural. I did say I was going to go back with Mortal Kombat X, and like with MK11, I'm going to be focusing on the story and arcade runs. You guys probably already knew that this game was going to be on here, but of course, more Mortal Kombat is always good as a big fan of the series that I am. So I'm glad that we'll be starting it off with something familiar, but also something new. Coming in at number 2, we have Injustice: Gods Among Us. Following up Injustice 2 is going to be Injustice: Gods Among Us. Probably another given like with MKX following MK11. Same thing, these NetherRealm games are basically what I grew up with, especially when I first got my first Xbox, and we're going to be continuing the tradition of the NetherRealm games. Injustice: Gods Among Us is going to be very interesting mechanically, going back in terms of how the Injustice series started. Like with all of these NetherRealm games, going to be focusing on the story, then arcade runs, so hopefully you guys will enjoy Injustice: Gods Among Us. Number 3 in phase 4 is going to be Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive Edition. Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive Edition is the next game in the Mighty Switch Force Collection series, like we first announced in phase 3. That is the next logical game. We're going to be doing all the incidents, including the extra and special incidents that are new as part of the Hyperdrive
edition. I'm very excited to present to you guys. I'm very excited to continue the Mighty Switch 4 saga with the next installment, and hopefully you guys will too.
Coming in at number 4 is Halo 2 Anniversary.
Halo 2 Anniversary is, of course, the next game in the backwards chronological order of the Master Chief Collection. Of course, that means we're going to be playing on the Anniversary mode, which is the new remastered cutscenes and visuals. Now, apart from the new graphics, we are also going to be indulging in the story, just the campaign missions, like with all the other Halos, so hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that.
Approaching the halfway mark of the games of Phase 4, number 5 is going to be Sonic Frontiers.
Sonic Frontiers released to an enormous ovation from all the fans, Sonic fans and non-Sonic fans alike. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of Sonic Frontiers, and yes, it will be part of Phase 4. I'm very happy. This is the most recent Sonic game that I've had the chance to actually play on the channel, and like with everything in Sonic Frontiers, it is just ramped up. We're going to be going through all the cyberspace levels and the bosses. Now, for those of you concerned with Sonic Mania Plus, I do want to say that Sonic Mania Encore mode will be done before we actually move into Sonic Frontiers. So it may take a minute, but don't worry, we're going to get to Sonic Frontiers.
Number 6 of Phase 4 is going to be Skullgirl's Second Encore.
The return of Skullgirl's Second Encore to the White Shadow channel. I did previously cover this as part of Phase 3 early on. Now, with the release of Season Pass 1, that does mean that we have to go back in order to go through the stories, the voice story modes of Annie, Umbrella, Black Dyla, and Marie. So of course we're going to be going through that, as well as a new series of arcade mode runs. We are going to be revisiting Skullgirls in Phase 4. I'm all for it, and I know you guys are too.
The last 3 games, number 7 is going to be Tekken 7.
A new fighting game challenger approaches at White Shadow, and that is Tekken 7. This is actually one of those fighting game franchises that is a big one. It was part of the core ones back in the arcade days, and it's one that I actually wasn't very familiar with. Like I mentioned previously, I grew up with a bunch of the NetherRealm type, Midway, and of course Street Fighter. But of course, once I did eventually find myself discovering Tekken, it was a fighting game franchise that I just had to continue, and it's now on the channel in Phase 4.
Number 8 on Phase 4 games is going to be Guilty Gear Strive.
The fighting game takeover continues with Guilty Gear Strive coming to you in Phase 4. Guilty Gear is also one of those series that was brand new to me up until about a year ago when I first discovered it. First discovering it through its amazing visuals, I came to like Guilty Gear because of its actual fighting game mechanics, its story, its world, and of course, its music. Now, this is one of those games that is risky, as I don't technically own Guilty Gear Strive yet, but with its eventual release in the summer this year on Xbox, I do have platforms and also PC that I've also been looking forward to getting, so do not worry guys, it's almost time to rock with Guilty Gear.
And finally, for the last game of Phase 4.
Now, you guys know that one of the core games of my childhood was, of course, Halo. But one of the things that little me did not know was that there was another green one-man machine, and that is, of course, Doom Guy, the Doom Slayer. Doom 2016 was a game that when I first picked up blew my mind. I definitely now know what it is to finally rip and tear, and hopefully you guys will too in Phase 4. One of the most interesting video game choices here, another gore and M-rated game. Of course, we're going to have to jump through some hoops with YouTube for that, but hopefully everything goes well and we can raise hell in Phase 4.
I am very excited for Phase 4 in the summer when we eventually start it. And yeah, for is going to be a big phase. We have 9 games at the ready. Of course, like I said, they don't necessarily have to be in that order. Things are going to be changing depending on how they come and they go. So at the very minimum, you at least know what the future holds for White Shadow Gaming. And so that basically wraps up everything for White Shadow. It's now time to move on to White Shadow Life. White Shadow Life is periodically staying the same. There's not much to say. If anything, this is the channel that has actually done about the same. Regardless of my workload, school highlights are always going to be a thing, as well as moments of my life. Those are always a thing. So in terms of the content for life never ends. It's just what it is exactly. Of course, here is the content overview. It's essentially what White Shadow Life already is and what it will probably forever will be. Of course, you have my life, the moments of my life. School highlights, most definitely the most popular one. The most popular series on White Shadow Life, just because the shenanigans of school are always ever evolving. And we have vlogs. Currently, there are some vlogs that were released before the hiatus, and that would be the IB Spanish trip that we took to the Latin dance and Plaza Fiesta early in the school year. Of course, there's going to be more as they come up. Especially, I have one vlog that isn't necessarily new, but is one that I feel like if you're part of the boys, you know what this is. It's a project that I've had for a long time, so hopefully I'm excited to actually bring you that content. And of course, chaos. That's always been a thing that's always been a motto for the White Shadow Life channel. Not much to say, it's just more chaos, more life. That's what life is. Life is chaos. So definitely a lot to withstand. Is probably the most random in terms of its content because it can appear anywhere, and that's, again, like I said, that's life. So moving on, we're now going to be talking about Shadow Entertainment. Now, Shadow Entertainment is a very interesting channel. Most of it is correlated with my school projects. That's where most of the content comes, and because of the reason that I just had a lot of things that I was doing in school, I didn't really have the time to focus on the original series for Shadow Entertainment. Now, as you can see, I'm going to pull up a roadmap. There's a lot of projects, especially that are associated with the IB, so I thought to myself, why not incorporate more of the school projects into Shadow Entertainment now that we are approaching the IA season. That is going to make a lot of content. I have a lot of them planned out as they appear. There's going to be plenty of them. I will say though, before I mention anything from the future, right now, you guys know that Steve's Bizarre Adventure is a beloved series created by me. Of course, it's never been the most consistent in terms of its release. Unfortunately though, I will say that we are on hiatus, and this one is one that both wasn't planned and one that I don't know when we could ever return. I don't want to call it quits with Steve's Bizarre Adventure. There's still a vision there. There's still plans that I already have made. It's just that there's some things going on with the cast personally that I feel like is really what's preventing the progress here. Of course, I do respect all of my friends' lives, and those come first beyond anything. But in terms of what I can tell you guys, it's just that we're on a hiatus. I don't know when we'll ever return, if we do. And that's the scary part. Like I said, I don't want to call anything because nothing is set in stone, especially when it comes to things that I do, clearly. So just note that we're not going to be seeing Steve's Bizarre Adventure in a while. Fortunately though, we do have some school projects that are coming up having to do with the IB and also some things from me originally. One of them is a documentary series that I've been wanting to do for over a year now. I won't reveal what it is, but it is something to be excited about. Like I said, it's been cooking for about a year. I just haven't gotten to it, but now I feel like it's the right time that I can fully focus on, especially with what's been going on in my life. I feel like now is more of a better time in order to do it. Also, there is one IB project, or tied to the IB, maybe not entirely fully IB, but it is one that is in the coming future. Of course, as you can see on the roadmap, future is definitely something that has us really excited, because we have school projects, we have IB projects, we have a original Shadow Entertainment series apart from the documentary series coming up, and an unannounced project that is still in development. I just wanted to give you guys that heads up. That isn't officially confirmed, but it is something that I have considered. Now, again, like with all the other content, you'll see the trend. You see there of most of the new stuff coming in the summer period. I say, like end of the school year, summer period, and that's only because that is when I aim to release all those things. So really, it is going to be a very, very interesting summer, to say the least. It really is. So yeah, that's it on the entertainment side. Lots of new projects that I feel like you guys are going to really enjoy, and hopefully we can stay true to that. And now we're moving on to Shadow Reviews. Shadow Reviews was the newest branch of the White Shadow brand before the big hiatus. I had started talking about topics related to Overwatch, which is something that, as you guys know, I'm very passionate about, and I had things to say. So before the hiatus, I released 2 videos. One was about the state of Overwatch 2, as we actually entered the era of Overwatch 2, and the second was about Overwatch esports. So in the springtime, for right now in the springtime, we're going to be focusing on finishing up those ideas. Both of those videos were set up to where they would both have sequels. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the sequels to those videos. Both a full commentary on the state of Overwatch 2, kind of like a mini critique, mini review, and also what has happened in the Overwatch esports world, which is ever evolving and is always chaotic, regardless of what year it is. I'm telling you, every year Overwatch esports has something in it. Of course, and I also have some other critiques that I want to make. In terms of the new stuff, Shadow Reviews, of course, part of it is not just video commentary on games, but also actual reviews. And I do want to start the actual reviews of Shadow Reviews. And that's going to be part of games that I've already played and games that I will play. Like I said, the collaboration there between White Shadow and Shadow Reviews. I can't really say for sure what the order is going to be. It's probably going to be as random as the way that I do the games on White Shadow. I also don't know what is a good game to start, but it is something that's on my mind. I have 3 different games that I want to be the first. I just need to decide which one is the best. And of course I will have to establish a style of the review videos, but just know that it is something that is there. And that's the roadmap for Shadow Reviews. Nothing much, just staying true to the name. And now finally we can talk about the last one of the branching channels, and that is White Shadow Music. Now, White Shadow Music was one of those channels that was bound to be periodically releasing content. I do have a overview, not a roadmap, because I don't want to have a roadmap for music. That's random, that's very weird, especially for that kind of channel. But we did leave off with me creating some remixes. That will continue. I had some unplanned remixes that I never released, and one of them is, of course, in fact, to do with the Sonic Symphony. I have some remixes that are going to be using the Sonic Symphony tracks that came with the Sonic Symphony. I really enjoyed that symphony, and there are some remixes on the way. Like I said, we also have the rhetorical analyses, which also was one that stopped. It was an idea that appeared through the school project side with Dreams of an Absolution, where I did a rhetorical analysis on that. Of course, I said I wanted to continue it, and I will. I am very focused on doing that. So as you can see, we're going to be finishing the rhetorical analyses of the main themes of the 3 main characters of that game, Sonic 06, with His World for Sonic and All Hail Shadow for Shadow. And of course, you can see on the content overview, we have Guilty Gear Strive music. I really do like the music of Guilty Gear Strive, not only for the beats, I like the way that the tunes sound, but also the fact that these character themes are really interesting, and their messages that they convey is also really interesting to dive into. So of course we're going to continue the retro analyses, and of course there's always going to be more series, more themes, so that makes me excited for what that entails. And then, like I said, Shadow Entertainment is also going to be featuring soundtracks from various projects. I can already tell you that there are going to be some soundtracks from Shadow Entertainment, and possibly White Shadow Life. Not sure if I will or not, but definitely for Shadow Entertainment, some of the projects upcoming, we're definitely going to be needing White Shadow music for their soundtracks. And of course, just legacy music. Like, I did a playlist about the different music for the intros of my channel on White Shadow, so it's definitely anything that has to do with music on the brand channels is definitely going on there. And much like with White Shadow Life, I don't want to make a roadmap for these kinds of things, because these channels in particular don't really have a schedule to them. It's just as the content arises. And so that is mostly this update. A lot of content is on the way. I really am excited for all of this new content coming your guys' way. I really do. I'm happy to be doing this. I'm glad that I'm getting the chance to continue doing this, and I hope that maybe in the future, maybe if I ever do have another hiatus, hopefully I'm able to communicate that to you guys without you guys having to worry about what I'm doing. But also the fact that I'd probably need to do that. But apart from that, I really do hope that in case there is a time in which I'm not doing content, it's for a good reason, not for a bad one, hopefully. And yeah, apart from updating you guys, it's more just about me, little me. So yeah, that's what we're excited about this year. This year is really a good year. It really has been, and we're going to continue that. So I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for this batch of new content. It's going to be rolling out in, I want to say March, because I still need to take the last 1.5 weeks of February to get this started. But definitely things are going to start. I need more time to cook, but trust me, I need that time for a reason. So I want to say that starting in March, things will start rolling out. So be tuned for everything. Make sure to stay tuned to all of the channels of the White Shadow brand. I'm the mastermind behind it all, Steve Mazuriegos. I'll see you guys in the next one.